Yeah.
Trust me, right? Okay, let's get this the live slideshow back in. So this is who we got on tonight, Inner Guardians. This is who I've been referring to as Sensei. I haven't mentioned his name because he wanted to stay in the shadows, and this week he told me, Lance, it's happening. I'm coming on Rise Above. We're very excited to have him on. For anybody that doesn't know, in his previous incarnation, this guy has been described as the godfather of mixed martial arts in the UK before the UFC. Before any of that, we're talking about in the early 90s. I'll leave this on the screen. I'm not going to read it all out. This guy is a very esteemed martial artist, a progenitor of mixed martial arts in the UK. Anyone that's watching from the combat sports world knows who this dude is. Trust me. Okay, let's have a little look. He's not going to like this, right? He's not going to like this. I'm going to show one of his fights. I'm going to show one of his fights from the early 90s, right, to show how old school and how long this dude's been a badass, right? And I'm going to skip not the whole fight. This is before UFC, guys. I know Inner Guardians is cringing at this. Scott Dobbs versus Lee Hasdell. I'm going to skip forward a little bit. There's a big intro. Sensei's looking young there.
Infatti lì si è fatto le ossa.
Again, I'm going to skip forward a little bit because there's a lot of fanfare and there's a very quick execution in just a minute.
Sarà all'altezza di questo avversario che ripeto è veramente impressionante, inquadrata anche Melissa.
This sounds like it's in Russia.
I believe it's in Italy.
Oh, Italy.
He had a prolific career in Japan. He's fought all over the world. Kickboxing, mixed martial arts. I'm going to skip forward, right, because it's there's a big build up. And look how calm he is.
Arbitro dell'incontro, c'è stata una sostituzione.
Now, I've seen some short fights.
Al primo Iraghi è stato sostituito.
Our next guest is in the very striking red and black striped lycra bottoms. Inner Guardians.
Parte un calcio impressionante.
Pow! Right, that's what you need to know, yeah.
Swift shot to the.
You know, we've got a little montage of him in Japan. A little bit less hair on this one. A little bit less hair.
Look at this dude eyeing him.
Right. So this dude with the crazy haircut that's walking around Inner Guardians right now. Look at the look on his face.
So disrespectful.
This is not the way of a martial artist. This dude here. Look at him. What a dick. Watch how he gets dealt with.
That's like some Kimbo Slice shit. Yeah, nice. Big guys as well.
This is heavyweight. This is heavyweight shit, man.
And that's enough.
Yeah,
nice. Punches just seem to be brushed off there. In the clinch now, nice. Oh.
This is like MMA in a ring, not in an octagon, not in a cage, man. He's not looking so sharp now, the guy with the crazy haircut, is he? He's not looking so sharp now. He's about to get a proper Inner Guardian here. It's over. Right. We are not going to be talking about martial arts tonight because that was an old incarnation of our next guest, Inner Guardians. Right about now, this guy is running close protection specialists. Okay? Based in the UK, offering international officer partners, we provide advice and services for difficult, unwanted situations from crime, home invasions, stalking, surveillance, electronic countermeasures, self-protection training, close protection teams, residential protection. Okay? You get the idea. And he also has a massively slept on YouTube channel called Inner Guardians, where he is providing guidance, training for your mind, body, and soul for the plethora of obstacles in the way. Rise Above Friday night. It gives me massive, massive pleasure to introduce to the show Inner Guardians. How you doing, bro? Live from the Off-Grid Dojo. Say hello. Say hello to the stream.
Good evening. Good evening.
Sounding good. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, mate. I hardly know where to start. It's all right. It's all right to say Lee, isn't it? Lee for Inner Guardians, yeah.
A bit of a delay.
A bit of a delay. It usually sorts that out within a moment or so. We have like an auto echo feature on there, yeah. So sorry to embarrass you with those old videos of the fights and everything. Because we're not talking about martial arts. We're not talking about combat sports tonight. We're going to be talking about the esoteric and occult aspects of this pandemic, whatever we want to call it. We're going to be talking about non-physical protection and a whole host of other things. Like, where are we going to kick this off? How are we going to kick this off? Help me.
Right. Okay. It's a very big subject. I'm going to try my best to cover the subject in two parts. So we've got the problem, and then I'm going to provide the solution. But just as an introduction about myself, this isn't about me. It's about the knowledge and the information that I'm going to provide. It's going to upset a few people. It's also going to give liberation to others. And we're going to be very, very clear about this. It's a terror of a situation. And we need to understand what's really going on.
One sec, Inner Guardians, people in the comment section are saying there's an echo. They are literally 30 seconds to a minute behind the live stream. So in the comment section, please let me know when the echo is gone, because it's gone in the live bit. When we get a guest on, the echo happens and then the echo is sorted out. So Lee, carry on speaking. And in the comment section, please keep us updated. We want this to be an amazing sound quality while Lee's speaking. Carry on, please, Lee.
Okay. Right, we'll try our best. My technical advisor, Dave, we may have a few problems. This isn't necessarily based on the hardware or the technology, but outside interference. I'm quite prolific in breaking technology. In previous presentations that I've worked on, we've had all kinds of trouble. So don't be surprised if strange things start to happen.
We had some issues when I was emailing you, didn't we? I was trying to email you the link for the stream, and because of your level of encryption, one sec, the sound's fine. Okay, we just got an update from the front room. They're watching it on TV. The sound's okay. Thank you, baby.
Excellent.
Yeah, Magic's in the comments says it's fixed as well.
Okay, the sound is fixed. Lee, please carry on where you left off. Sorry to interrupt, bro.
Okay, no worries. Right, so this information isn't really about me. I've stayed in the shadows largely. Primarily because the stuff that I'm into is esoteric and occulted. For most people, they're not going to know anything about this with regards to me and my history with the martial arts. I've been in occult groups and esoteric groups for looking at around about 25 years. Even when I was fighting, instead of going to the after parties, I would go back to the hotel room and I would study and read books. Especially when I was in Japan, it gave me a great opportunity to meet with various teachers. Most people didn't realize that because most people are at the after party. I used to sneak off and study and try and meet interesting people.
I was one of those guys that went to the after party and wasted my time, mate. So yeah, I feel it. Time better spent, better invested.
Yeah, well, the information I'm going to provide tonight, there's a lot of information. I'm going to try and condense it. Feel free to interject, or we can segue at any point. There may be certain parts of it that I'll suggest that we try and focus. But before we start, okay, because it's all about solutions, and it's really important that the information I give, people can use practically. Okay, so before we start, I want everybody, just as you are, take a deep breath in. That's everybody. Doesn't matter what you're doing. And I want you to sense your feet. Okay, I don't know if you remember, Lance, when we had a telephone chat a few months back, I said the same thing. Okay, it's important that we come into our bodies. Okay, this is really important before I continue. Okay, so I want everybody to breathe, sense your feet, come into your body. This is really important.
I do remember, mate. I do. I'm sorry, I was just checking the stream. We have no echo on the TV here, so please carry on, mate.
Okay, excellent. Right, okay, so I'm going to do sort of an intro, aside to the one that you've done. Okay, so obviously my name's Lee Hasdell. I've worked in close protection. Obviously, I've been in the martial arts for a long time, and I've been involved with esoteric groups. So the Inner Guardians came about as a combination of more or less those three things. Okay, so the esoteric groups, the martial arts, obviously for the protection, and then the close protection for sort of more commercial, the commercial aspects of it. The Inner Guardians came about because I realized a few years ago what was going to happen, what was coming. Okay, now for those who study anything occulted or esoteric, 2020 wasn't a major surprise. Okay, because we've kind of been warned about what's coming. Part of the agenda is that you have to be told. Okay, you have to be told, and then you have to consent. Okay, so whether it's in the movies, media, even the information that authorities will put out, they actually tell you what they're going to do. Okay, and I think we can all agree that
we spoke about this a lot. We spoke about this a lot on the show, mate. As you know, you watch almost every week. We've spoke in depth about the understanding about free will, about consent, about acquiescence. So anyone that's been watching Rise Above is totally on board, mate. Absolutely. Nail on the head. Yeah.
Okay. So we need to establish that it's all about consent. It's all about your intention. I mean, some things can be forced or coerced. I'm going to try and avoid certain words. I know you've got sort of coded words, which is quite typical in esoteric studies, because you need to have a particular language in order to transmit knowledge.
Yeah, we've developed our language over the weeks, as you've seen, mate. It's been an evolving thing, our vocabulary to describe what's going on around us without alerting those forces.
The algorithm.
The algorithm. Let's call it the algorithm. Let's be real. Without alerting the algorithm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to introduce a word that you may not have heard before, but in esoteric groups, it's they'll know what I mean. Okay. It's called the denying force. Okay. So there's a denying force. Okay, which is invisible. Okay. And what that basically means is, if you set an aim with intention, guess what happens?
It happens.
It manifests.
Well, yeah, but you experience a denying force straight away.
Like an opposing force.
Yeah, it's like an opposer. Yeah. Okay. Now,
so that could manifest. That could manifest as many things, right?
Yeah, physically. Yeah, physically and non-physically. Largely, it will be yourself. You'll become the denying force. So, for instance, you'll have doubt, hesitation. Okay, which all comes from fear. Yeah. So when you work in esoteric groups, you set aims, and that straight away exposes the denying force, so you know what you're up against. But we'll go more into that as I go through the presentation. Okay, with the slides. This is just a little bit of an introduction. Now, we're in a game. Okay, it's a game of knowledge. Okay, there's those that know stuff, and there's those that don't. Now, some people think that the PSYOP started in 2020, or even 9/11 as an example. This PSYOP has been going on for a long, long time. Okay, every one of us was born straight into the PSYOP. Okay, so for instance, I'm 54 years old now, so that's 54 years of being in a PSYOP. This is nothing like that just sprung up last year or the year before, or even 20 years ago. So we're all born into the PSYOP. Okay, so there's a lot of work to be done to gain liberation from the situation that we're in, that we find ourselves in. So you kind of got to be a little bit patient. But I've realized the last few months there's a quickening, there's a critical mass. and things are going to start really moving fast. So this is why I said I was going to stay in the shadows, but I've decided to come forward with some information.
And
now, the
thank you
information
for
that I'm
coming
going
forward,
to give,
mate. Thank you.
yeah, the information that I could give would get the channel taken down straight away. So I'm going to be, I'm going to tiptoe a little bit and give as much information as I can without causing
This is
too
a
much.
virgin channel. We've got no strikes on this one, so let's use some of that esoteric coded language. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got things like denying force. We've got the ray of creation, the absolute, food for the moon, the terror of the situation. Okay, so these are terms commonly known in esoteric groups, basically to keep it occulted. So you more or less got two types of esoteric or occulted groups. You got those that are looking to ascend, to rise, and you got those that are looking to descend or de-evolve, or to take humanity in a certain direction. Okay, so I think you can all gather what I'm talking about with regards to that.
Yeah, we've been talking about these groups a lot, mate.
Yeah. Now, my prediction, and I think it's going to happen quite quickly. Although I don't like to make too many predictions, because the moment you make a prediction, things can change. So sometimes you can look a little bit silly. If I say next week this is going to happen, that's going to happen. The thing is, it could well happen, or would have happened had the information not got out and things have happened to change it. Okay, so that's important to understand. Okay, so my micro prediction is that there's going to be two types of people. There's going to be those with the knowledge and those without the knowledge.
I think that's already self-evident, mate.
Yeah. So those without the knowledge, they basically lack first principles. You hear me say quite a lot. It's like playing table tennis or ping pong in the dark room.
Yeah, I've used this analogy many times, and I always try to credit you for it, mate.
Yeah. Well, that is a very good analogy of the situation. Also, contradictions. Okay, so all you got to do is look at a newspaper, watch the news, listen to the radio, and it's just one contradiction after another. Okay, so just to say, feel free to join in.
Mate, some of the comments already are just, mate, we're just really not in awe of you or anything, but like what you're saying, you are laying down an extra layer of what we've been describing with our exposés, rather our laughs every week. You're already bringing another angle of exactly what we're speaking about. Some of the comments, I'm putting as many on the screen as I can. People are seriously digging. Please carry on, Lee. We don't want to interrupt you until you've run out of steam. And
I'll
then we'll
just say good evening, Lee. This is really interesting, mate. Yeah, we're just going to let you crack on for a little bit. This is
when we turn the mic off, we already said like how sick this is and how much you're smashing it, and we're just watching all the comments. People are really digging this message, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're bringing the meat and potatoes, the 3D physical dynamic to what's happening, while also properly respecting the non-physical and the esoteric aspect. And people have already gauged that just in the intro, mate.
Yeah, well, as I continue, there's going to be bits and pieces for more or less everybody. Okay, for some people, this is going to mean absolutely nothing. I would suggest that the mere fact that you're listening means that you've got a magnetic center and you've obviously got an interest in the esoteric and the knowledge. Okay, so that's good. But there's also people that just either one understand it or can't comprehend it, or they just don't have enough essence, or they could actually be a NPC or
an Agent Smith.
Agent Smith, yeah.
And we've talked about this concept a lot of the NPC, the Agent Smith, the non-player character, the non-sentient being.
The parasite.
Well, but we're talking about like an aspect of the parasite which is manifested and it isn't holding consciousness.
Well, exactly.
And we can all argue for ages. Do these people really exist? Well, we can't call them people for starters if they don't have the divine spark. This is why that NPC meme cuts so hard into society.
Physical beings.
Yeah. Basically, devoid of a soul and, more importantly, essence. Okay.
Sure.
I will go on to this when I do the presentation. I mean, this is just a warm up. I mean, this is the stuff I'm going to bring forward is very, very deep. And the presentation that I'm providing is probably a fraction. I mean, we all know that we know roughly 5% of 5% of 5%. Basically, we don't know anything. We're literally in the dark. We're inside a dark box, inside a dark room, inside a dark house, probably underground. That's the scale.
Looking at a projection or a mirror, like Plato. Is it Plato's cave?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That is so powerful. When I first heard of Plato's cave, like years and years ago, I didn't really get it. I didn't really understand the absolute authenticity and importance of what it's conveying. And for anyone that's not familiar with the idea of Plato's cave, Google it, because that's what Inner Guardians is basically describing here.
Well, even scientism, they say like they only really research 5% of 5% or something like this. So basically, we don't know much. Okay, so basically we're in a game of knowledge. Okay, so those that are in the know, or aka the controllers, they have a particular type of knowledge. Unfortunately, they're using it for nefarious reasons and for nefarious gain. Okay, so the only way you can find any form of solution, and the word solution is the name of my company, Close Solution. A lot of people think, this is a bit of a side note, a lot of people think that Close Solution means purely close protection. In actual fact, the name Close Solutions came about because I was dealing with like personal problems within the close protection industry, and I was finding solutions to personal problems. So we called it.
Let's just expand on that, right? Because you've told me that, and I hope you don't mind me just bringing this up. You've told me that a number of years ago, when you started talking to other people in the personal protection and defense community about the fact that there may be something on the horizon coming that is quite a big fundamental change. And let's face it, what we're talking about is the Great Reset. And you told me that you got laughed at, shunned, poo-pooed, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah, I mean, one of my, it's kind of a natural ability that I've had. Is basically, I'm a polymath. Okay, I always used to think there was something wrong with me because I had the ability to kind of see the similarities in everything rather than the difference. Quite often you're rewarded as children or when we go through education to be able to identify the difference in things. I was always able to see the similarities. I later found out there's a technique called mapping, which businesses use, where, for instance, instead of getting papers and laying them out across that way, they actually stack them on top and then look downwards, and they see what is in common. Okay, so it's a way of gathering,
interpreting reality.
Yeah, it's a way of gathering information and knowledge, which is what the game is all about. So basically, I'll try and speed things up a little bit because I'm conscious of the time and the presentation is quite long. So basically, we're in a game.
We've got 3 hours, mate. We've got 3 hours. Please don't rush, Lee. We do this every week. Like we've got to do the information a little bit more justice. Sometimes when we finish the show, we're like, we skip through too many things tonight. So, mate, don't rush. People are loving it. I'm just monitoring the comments. People are already saying this is the best guest so far. They're digging what you're saying, mate. Please carry on.
Okay. Yeah, that's appreciated. Thank you.
No, thanks for coming on, dude.
So, I will drop a few references to various things that where I've got information from, or things that I would suggest that you research. Actually, this is a real segue. You mentioned about the was it the Joker when you did your introduction? Is it Heath? Heath?
Oh no, we were talking about Heath Ledger in those split photos, the split photos of the lookalikes. Yeah, so Heath Ledger came up, who played the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's
the best Joker as well, arguably.
Right. For those, I mean, I don't know who knows of the band Killing Joke.
Killing Joke. I think I've heard of it. Is it like a metal band?
No, a punk band from.
Punk. Okay.
Yeah, from the 80s, 90s, whatever. Yeah. The lead singer is called Jazz Coleman. Now, I don't know if you've got the ability, but if you actually look at a picture of him, his persona was always the Joker, and they actually went to him.
Did you say Jazz Coleman? We can obviously do this. Yeah,
I believe it's spelled J.
Just typed in Godvag, right?
It's a single Z.
Jazz Coleman.
Yeah.
My resident here, Jazz Coleman. Right, let's share that screen. One sec.
I've actually met him before. He's a very deep occultist. Okay. Now they asked him to be a consultant with regards to the Joker.
Okay, I've recognised this dude. I've recognised this guy. Has he been?
Yeah,
Has he appeared in movies?
No.
He looks like he has.
He's in the band, though.
Yeah, I'll tell you a very interesting story about him. And I actually went to look for it a few months ago, and I couldn't find it. I think it's been deleted because
We talked about editing the timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's a common theme on this show.
Yeah. So, for instance, it's been edited with him. I saw quite a few videos where he'd done an interview where basically he explained that when they asked him to be a consultant with regards to the Joker, he said, if anybody takes on the Joker persona, they'll be basically cursed.
Mate, he looks like he was born to be the Joker. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
He looks a bit like a cross between Joaquin Phoenix and Alice Cooper.
So yeah, anyone who takes on the Joker persona is going to be cursed, and then obviously Heath Ledger did that, and then obviously
let me assume this guy's an occultist. If he's going to say something like that, you take on the persona of the Joker.
You will.
Yeah, Jazz Coleman is a very, very deep occultist. He's the real deal.
He looks like it.
There's more to this story than just that. If you look at bands like, just trying to think, Nirvana, I think the song Teen Spirit, they actually stole the riff from Killing Joke. And they had a legal battle for years and years.
Shut up. So we mentioned that earlier on, and they stole it from this guy.
Yeah. And Metallica.
So that really, the most famous riff of the 90s, arguably, that we all grew up with, anyone that's my age, Andy's age, that Teen Spirit riff, that's been remixed into drum and bass, into dubstep, into hip-hop.
Yeah.
And that was taken from who you were talking about, Jazz Coleman, this guy. Killing Joke, this occultist.
Yeah, basically, he's an occultist, he's a polymath, he's a visionary, he's an innovator. A lot of the music that you hear was stolen from him. And he was reluctant to go into legal battles with these bands. He just said that at some point they'll realize the error of their ways, because basically there's going to be some kind of thought forms or entities that will attack these bands.
It's going to have an effect on you when you take on. It's like so what they're sort of insinuating is
identity theft.
Taking on a persona like a method actor, the preparation and the ritual that you go in to take on to that persona. Actually can have a lasting effect on your psyche. Your soul, like a possession.
So the end result, right, of this is that all the bands that stole his work ended up apologizing for him. And this is a really interesting thing. You have to bear with me because I can't remember the names, but the lead singer of the Foo Fighters, who was the drummer in Nirvana, Dave Grohl, he played, I believe, the drums for Killing Joke for free.
So this Killing Joke band that not many people have heard of have actually got sort of like this, could we say a cult following? They're very
they've got an occult following, but basically the point I'm trying to make is this is kind of living proof of non-physical attacks and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to say is, right, years later, Dave Grohl, who was in Nirvana, was so terrified that the only way he could get to pay back Jazz Coleman was to play drums for free in a concert.
He had to repay his debt.
Yeah.
Almost like breaking a hex. And we've talked about hexing before. You and me were on the phone before I made that video, which people quite enjoyed. It was probably my weirdest video.
This is really interesting.
When I went to buy the pendulum after your advice. And believe me, Lee, that pendulum, like you said, that's been charging up in the studio for months because you still haven't given me. It's my fault I didn't phone you. You still didn't tell me how to do the dowsing yet. I'll hold up my hand. But you said, hold that pendulum close. Keep it near to your power center. Let it feel your energy. It's been in the studio on the desk for 6 streams so far. It's fully absorbed the rise above energy. So when we learn dowsing, ready to go, mate. No, that's no problem. We will get to it. No rush.
Apologies for that kind of side note with regards to Jazz Coleman.
Never apologise for a tangent on. You know this show. Come on, in the Guardians. Come on, Lee. You know how much we take tangents and segues, and we go on these linear sort of non-linear rabbit holes. Never apologise for a tangent, mate. That's what we're about here. It's the whole rabbit, not the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I recommend anybody to research Jazz Coleman. He's a fascinating guy. Like I say, he's a polymath. He's actually a composer, not a composer. He's a conductor for orchestras as well. So he goes from sort of punk rock all the way through to classical music. He's a very interesting guy. Like I say, I've actually met him in the past. But anyway. Let's get back to.
Wait, you've met Jazz Coleman?
Yeah.
Lee, can I just ask you a quick question, mate?
Yeah.
Is Jazz Coleman? Would you say he's a light occultist or a dark occultist?
Or is there a difference?
Is he using his occult knowledge in a positive way to help the world, or is it on other people, or is he use it for his own self gain and
big up, chop the dog?
In respect of a negative effect to other people?
Well, it's service to self or service to others. If you believe in that dichotomy.
Personally, I think he's a good guy. I think he's probably dabbled in a few of the dark arts, and he has evoked certain entities of protection. So
for his own benefit.
Yeah. So basically, this is going to be another rabbit hole or segue.
Let's do it.
Basically, like the universal law of do no harm, but you can in self-defense. So, for instance, you can be a light occultist and you have protection. So when somebody tries to do harm to you, then, all hell can break loose for that person.
Which you've got every right to do under natural law.
Natural law, yeah, exactly, yeah. And so, for instance, so I mean, I don't want to sort of name any celebrities or people like that, but let me just put it like this, right? The occult is used by a lot of people. Now, the mere fact it's occulted, most people don't know. So I'll give you an example. A lot of the drug dealers in Colombia, as an example, they use the occult for protection.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they do their deals or whatever, or transportation, they have protection. When they get stopped at customs or anything like that,
what kind of protection?
Sorry?
Please just elaborate.
Yeah,
what kind of protection? Are you talking about like wearing sigils? Are you talking about like the gang tattoos? Are you talking about holding pendants?
You better doing rituals or
all of it.
Okay, all of the above.
Yeah. So I'm talking more along the lines of entities. So, for instance, if they get stopped by police or customs or anything like that, the officer could actually be taken over. So either they will see, basically they can glitch the system.
Holy shit!
And this goes on.
You sent me a video on this subject, didn't you? Is it the same subject we're talking about? That video that you sent me for playing
for
with the robbery.
Robbery. Yeah.
Let me know when you want me to pull that up, because we can pull that up any time. So we're talking about like non-physical occult practices within organized crime syndicates, because we've heard about what's the gang that Trump's been stamping out, the
Nadranga.
No, the Mexicans, the human trafficking gang.
Oh, the
with the number in
M13 is it
MS13? MS13.
Yeah,
how was that not off the tongue? MS13 are known to use exactly the modus operandi that In the Guardians is talking about right now.
Even with their tattoos and stuff.
When they're trafficking drugs, they hold pendants of the saints, and they have a mixture of Catholicism and voodoo. I can't remember what the name was. Do you know the name of it in those South American countries? There's probably a couple of different. That's it, Santeria. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's why I got him on the show. See, yeah. So yeah, it's a mix of Catholicism with the Catholic idolatry, with black magic, juju, shamanism, that kind of thing. Yeah, very interesting, mate.
Yeah, very I mean, just as another side note, I was actually given a blessing in Cuba in Santeria, so I've got a very good understanding of the Santeria religion, and it's a lot more popular than what people realize now.
So can I just ask, Lee, is that we've all seen Breaking Bad? I take it you've seen Breaking Bad, the series?
No.
There's a scene in that where these two twins, they're like hitmen for the Mexican mob or whatever, and they're crawling along the ground. And they get to this like little hut with a statue in it, and they put this guy that they want to get rid of. They put his picture by the statue, and like almost like pay their respects for it. Is that the same kind of religion? What you're talking about?
Potentially, yes. The
It's
thing
like
is,
the dark, like the demon god, but they see it as holy kind of thing. It's all for protection.
Yeah. In a nutshell, any form of voodoo, Santeria, candomblé, it's for protection. So, for instance, when I was brought into Santeria, I was given 3 guardians to protect me. Exactly the same in martial arts, especially if you study any form of ninjutsu or even a lot of the samurai arts. They have deities and entities that they evoke for protection. Now, this whole subject of the occult with regards to protection, I'll just say this. If you look at any agency, whether it's police, military, so on and so forth, what do you see? It's all about symbolism.
Symbols, all over.
Badges. Yeah. Now, it's the same thing. Basically, there's sigils and that go into thought forms that can be supportive of whatever it is the agency is doing. Okay, so
Sure.
I'm trying to ease everybody into it that basically we're living in one big psyop for a start. Secondly, all this stuff is all around us. This non-physical stuff is all around us. So it's not like there's just a small pocket of people doing this, that, and the other. I would suggest that we're already completely submerged in it, which is part of the problem, because there's those that know how to use this stuff, and then you've got people that don't.
And the vast majority don't.
Yeah, we're kept in the dark. Now,
Sure.
so for instance, the word solutions. Okay, so you got the problem, then you need to find a solution. Now, I don't know if anybody's aware of a lady called Kathie O'Brien. She's a former MK Ultra victim.
Sure. Yeah.
She's another person that you should look into. Kathie O'Brien, MK Ultra. It's actually a very, very sad, kind of shocking story. But the good thing is that she was able to overcome it all, and now she's
right.
actually.
She had lots of therapy and stuff like that. She's got kind of a whistleblower.
Yeah,
The
now she's basically a
programs,
whistleblower and exposing it, and
Sure.
actually she's giving
But
remedies.
like you said, she went through a lot of trauma to get to the stage of where she is at now.
I believe she's like 3rd generation MK Ultra. So
Yeah.
she actually says that there was incest in her family and blah blah blah.
Yeah, sure.
So for her to escape that is quite something. Now, she uses the word solution, but she actually says solution. So she uses the word solution.
Loosh.
Yeah. So the word solution is more than just the word solution. So you got the problem, and then you need the solution. The problem is connected to our soul, okay, which I will go into in the presentation. So basically, we've got a game. It's a game of knowledge. We've got people that know and understand the game and the rules, and they've got the knowledge to win all the time. And then the vast majority are left in the dark, which I would say there's a huge proportion of that majority that are quite happy. And then you've got another part of the, I say, quote unquote, humanity that are potentially NPCs that are completely soulless or devoid or have basically self-slaughtered themselves. So not all humans are the same. And this is really important to understand. And this is
Self-slaughter. That's heavy.
Self-slaughter.
Is that what's that called? Is that's got a name like sacrificide, where you sacrifice yourself?
Well, the thing is, that's part of the game is that you slaughter yourself. This is something that everybody really needs to understand.
It's easier if you do it to yourself. It's easier and more efficient than the state having to get their hands dirty. If you slaughter yourself,
if you think about it, if there's a physical presence, I've said this on the show before, they can't. There's too many of us that we outnumber them, 10 to 1. If people physically start to come and try to harm you, you'd know about it, and they couldn't do it.
And
So
also,
they
right
have
now,
to do it this way.
Another sentient being or semi-sentient, depending on the level of conditioning, has to pull that trigger.
Yeah,
We're still
exactly.
at the level where a sentient being has to make the decision.
And it all ties in again with like what Lee said at the start of the show, with they have to put it all in your face, and it's all about, they believe that if we do it to themselves, if they put it out all in the open, and i.e. that we, you know, give our consent, even if, you know, no one really knows what they're giving consent to, or they're giving consent in the first place to anything, then they will, they won't be affected negatively by natural law.
We've got a really good question.
Yeah.
We've got a really good question here from actually a new viewer, Goldie Girl. Thank you for tuning in. Maybe you tuned in once before. A question directly to Inner Guardians, to Lee. Can you ask the guest, are the people who are in the know that are working for good able to defeat the dark forces? Wow, that's a big question. Lee?
Short answer, 100% yes. This isn't all bad. No.
That's the answer we're looking for. Thank you, mate. I wasn't so sure you were going to be quite so optimistic there. Big up.
No, I'm very optimistic. Like I say, I'm going to present to you the terror of the situation. It's going to sound really bad, really negative, so on and so forth. But there are remedies, there are solutions, and they're actually quite simple and straightforward. It all boils down to understanding first principles and the trivium, which I know that you've been using.
I've been using after your guidance, mate. That's why I call you Sensei. You've been teaching me about the trivium. We haven't got onto the quadrivium yet, but for anyone that hasn't caught what I've said, please enlighten everyone.
Well, that's part of the presentation, so I'll probably leave it.
I'll tell you what we're going to do, mate, is we've got 15 more minutes until the 2-hour section. In 2 hours, we'll have a little break, because do you know what we don't do on this show enough? We don't have enough breaks, right? So we're going to continue on for the next 13 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we're going to play a music video, and then we'll actually get your slides on the screen after the break, I think. So let's carry on with the lead up into this presentation. Yeah.
Okay. So the good news is that there's solutions, and I spoke about the denying force. You've actually got other forces at play, so it's not just all about the denying force. By and large, for most people, life is okay. You know, if everything went wrong, or if the denying force was that great, like for instance, none of us would actually be here listening to this. Now, depending on everybody's timeline, which is different, and also different ages, you know, with the history, some people have had really, really bad lives, and some have had really good lives. There was a time like the Renaissance, which is basically it's like a golden time where people would study poetry, literature, fine art, classical music, and so on and so forth. Life was meant to be pretty good. Now, that's purely based on people understanding the trivium, quadrivium, and the 7 liberal arts. Now, over the years, that's been degraded. It's been taken out of the common knowledge or education system on purpose, basically to create to degrade humanity.
Demoralization, as Yuri Bezmenov puts it.
Yeah. So basically, we're pretty much living as slaves inside a prison. It's an open prison, and we don't understand. But actually, I think it was in the Matrix, they said the prison is inside your mind, or words to that effect. So it's all about knowledge. It's all about understanding how to process information, because we're living in a information realm. So it's about input, process, output. So we all experience this on a day-to-day basis. Now, just another point. I class myself as a direct realist, which basically means that I don't pander to authority. I don't pander to university certification, so on and so forth. All the stuff I try my best to deal with is what I can experience on a day-to-day basis. Okay, I try to avoid hearsay. I try to avoid wiseacring, so on and so forth. I try my best. It's not always possible, and it's a constant struggle. I try to be a realist and to experience direct realism. Now, anybody that has trained with me over the years will know that I'm like that with my martial arts. I'm like that with my personal protection. I like to get the correct knowledge. I like to gather knowledge. I'm a syncretist. I'm a polymath. And I use my right side of my brain to gather this information, and then I can start the process, and then ultimately come up with a solution. And that's kind of how to survive the denying forces and the tale of the situation. That's kind of how we have to get back to somehow. I strongly predict that a lot of people are not going to make it. We need to be prepared for that. We are going to lose people, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. And I'm sure through 2020, people have already started to experience this. It's like a separation.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah, the initiation stage, mate.
Yeah. So we've got to kind of brace ourselves that we may lose loved ones physically, mentally, emotionally, in many different types of ways. And it's largely going to be down to those that want knowledge, those that don't want knowledge, and those that are kind of happy to be slaves in a system, in a game where their philosophy is if they keep their head down, that life will either get back to normal, whatever that normal is, or they'll be left alone. Okay. But it's, there's a quickening. We're going to hit a critical mass at some point in the very near future. And I've been using this quite a lot since 2021, the line in the sand. At what point is anybody going to draw that line in the sand? Is it the masks? Is it the distancing? Is it whatever? Yeah, there's so many.
Did you draw it quite recently? Sorry to interrupt, mate, but like you posted the meme, the line in the sand.
Yeah, I saw that.
I've been telling you to come on the show for ages, and you say no, I'm in the shadows. Did you draw the line in the sand personally for yourself recently?
Yes.
Or did you decide it was for everybody else? Because like we've chatted a while, mate, in messages, only a couple of times on the phone, but I know personally, I reckon we probably both drew the line in the sand a long time ago. Are you saying that you've drawn the line in the sand that you simply cannot keep your mouth shut about this any longer? Is that why you're on the show this week?
Not necessarily. For me, I drew a line in the sand a long time ago in many different ways. Me being in the shadows was enabled me to carry on studying the occult and esoteric studies. Now, the thing is, prior to say 2020, most of the occult groups were quite happy to remain quiet. I was always told never to speak openly. And when I say occult or esoteric groups, I'm not talking like any of the nefarious ones. I'm talking about the good ones. The ones.
Mate, we're an occult esoteric group here. At the end of the day, we talk about occult esoteric things. It doesn't have to be dark.
I've spoke multiple times on the show about none of this knowledge is inherently evil. It's how it's used. It's the people or entities or whoever is using this knowledge in the way that they're using it.
One of the first
which
things
is classed as evil.
Sensei said to me on the phone, it's like a carving knife. Yeah, you can use that to prepare a beautiful meal for your whole family. Or a massacre a whole family with
absolutely.
It. A tool is a tool.
Great analogy.
A tool is a neutral element of manifestation at the end of the day.
And that's what knowledge is. Knowledge is a tool, and it's just how it's used. So continue, Lee.
Yeah. So I want to use the analogy of a prison. I think, I spoke to Lance about this the other day. That basically we're in a prison, albeit an open prison. Not for everybody, but for the majority, we're in an open prison. It's just that we don't realize it. But I would say to somebody, well, stop paying your bills and see how quickly it takes for you to get put in a real prison. You're probably talking a few weeks.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, so we're in a prison now. In esoteric or occultic groups, they kind of say it's very difficult to escape from a prison if you tell all the prisoners at the same time. So the best way to escape from a prison is to do it in small groups. So usually occult groups operate in small groups. Now, in some ways, it's to go unnoticed because there is like scanners on a causation level. Okay, now I'm talking a little bit metaphysical at the moment, but there's basically scanners that go around scanning, looking, basically agents looking for people that are trying to escape, and the denying force will always be directed at large groups trying to escape. So sometimes large movements they find it difficult to do anything. So most occult groups will operate in small groups. Now, there's a number of freedom movements that are popping up, and they're all saying the same thing that the occult groups have always said, and that's to form syndicates or cells. where you have around about 8 people. 8 people is a good number. Now, this is, I'll say it now, but I was going to sort of say it in the presentation, but 8 is a good number. I would recommend, and this is a top tip, start gathering around about 8 people with different various skills. Okay, so maybe one person is a bit more knowledgeable about crypto, one person's knowledgeable about food, one's knowledgeable about protection, so on and so forth. Okay, because there is going to come a time, and I predict, well, probably 2025, where the Great Reset and the smart cities and so on and so forth are going to come into force, and that basically means that if you don't comply or submit or basically give in, which most people will, you're going to be an outsider. You're going to be stuck on the outside. It's going to be very, very hard to survive.
Sorry, Lee, give in to what? Just could you elaborate on?
Yeah, give in to the agenda, because there is, we can't deny that it's obvious that there's an agenda at play, and they're telling us exactly what they want. They want smart cities. They want to eradicate people living in the rural countryside. Make it a crime to catch water to drink. Make it a crime to grow food. So on and so forth.
Codex Illuminatarius. That's what it's called out of Agenda 21. No collecting of rainwater. No growing your own food. I know I said it wrong. Codex Illuminatarius. That's it.
Yeah. So this has been at play. I mean, I remember reading this stuff years ago, and
the writing's been on the wall for decades, as we know, Lee. As we know.
Yeah. Now, I live in the countryside now, and I drive around, and one thing I noticed, and I've noticed it for a few years now, is that you can't see any food being grown. The majority of the food that's being grown is to feed cattle. You go to your supermarket and food comes from all over the place. But if you go to the countryside, there's not much food. It's hardly any food, and it's kind of baffled me. It's totally illogical. Why all this countryside, all these farms, they're not growing food? It's crazy. I don't know if you've noticed this.
Yeah, well, you can drive around the UK, around the rural areas, and you'll very quickly notice there is no such thing as an old school farm owned by a farmer anymore. They're all like acre after acre of these industrial open air crop factories that are owned by big up Wolf for the Executioner. Thanks for tuning in, mate.
I mean,
it's happened. There's no small holdings growing apart from these artisan places.
I know,
they're growing maize. They're growing things for cattle feed. Absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole of the New Forest like the back of my hand, and all this, surrounding areas to it. And the only thing that's being farmed there is, like you said, Lee, either food for cattle or cattle itself. On fields. That's it. Just grazing cattle. There's no food for humans being grown at all.
Yeah. And what's the latest news about Mr. Bill Gates?
America's
largest
farmer
Farmer Gates.
Gates.
Yeah, Farmer Gates.
Farmer Gates.
So you
with
can
a PH.
You can see where this is all going. The writings on the wall has been for a long time.
Bell Gates, as Magic says.
Now, I'm kind of sort of jumping all over the place, but
no worries. We're going to go to a break in 2 minutes, mate. Lee, I just want to please don't beat yourself up. The introduction, that was not an introduction. That synopsis you've just given there, which is going to lead into the presentation after the break. I've been watching the comment section. Everyone has literally just been sat down and listening. The comment section has not been as buzzing as normal. That this guy is speaking the truth. Lee, Inner Guardians, the most grounded guy ever. I'm just giving you a little synopsis of some of these comments, mate. People are really digging this because at the end of the day, we have a great laugh from the show. We jump around from multiple ideas. We go from rabbit hole to rabbit hole to rabbit hole. But what we're presenting tonight is the whole rabbit. This is all of the esoteric agenda, the occult agenda, the physical manifestation of it, and how it's actually going to affect our physical lives and what we can do about it.
Yeah, I use the term full spectrum. Now, going back to a point that that you made earlier, that why am I saying stuff? Why am I coming out? I would say it's down to solutions. I've read every single conspiracy theory known, and I've looked at every single problem, but very rarely do I see solutions. I'm in the business of solutions, commercially. I've got clients. I have to provide solutions. If I don't, then I lose clients. So my business is to find solutions, and I'm here now to give out solutions for those that want them. Nobody can force anybody to accept a solution or even an idea.
Just look at some of the comments on the screen. Lee Gould is all ears. He's one of our most avid guests. Woke Realist, another veteran. This guest is absolutely spot on. So, I tell you what, mate, we're at literally bang on at the 2 hour mark. That has been an amazing, slow rolling intro to your presentation about non-physical protection. I'd just like to say a massive big up to our special guest this week. I call him Sensei. To others, he is a martial arts legend, Mr. Lee Hasdell. To others, he is a close and personal and non-physical protection specialist. And to others, he is the inner guardian. Guys, this is Rise Above. We're at the 2 hour mark. We've got another 3 hours to go. This is a big bad stream tonight. Lee, I'm just going to boot you out and invite you back in about 5 minutes' time, if that's all right, mate.
Yeah, that's great.
Your slideshow. And, mate, It's been absolutely awesome so far. Guys, if you're still tuned in, we are going to take a short break. Do not go anywhere. Right about now, it is Rise Above. It's Friday night. And while we're going to take a short break, I know everyone is not loving the grime. However, we played a lot of hip-hop tonight. I've got to play this one again. This is a brand new video that I'm not quite finished. I need more feedback on this. It's not really that grimy. It's called Bible Code. It's right. I made this video, all different clips from YouTube. It's not quite finished yet. I haven't released it. I played it last week. People thought it was sick. Please give me your feedback. Go and have a little toilet break. Roll one. Get another drink. It's Rise Above. It's Friday night. We'll be back very, very soon with Inner Guardians.
Man hates God. Jesus said that they hated him. They will hate those who preach his gospel. Jesus Christ is the most hated man on planet Earth today. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. But God will prevail because he is the King of kings and the Lord of lords. He is the King of compassion, the lily of the valley. He is the great I am, the Alpha and Omega. He is the beginning and the last. He is the Lion of Judah.
Ask questions that are the deepest. What is a religious extremist? A terrorist with a Wahhabi thesis? Pedo priest praying to Jesus, a rabbi circumcising a penis, gesturing God, acting fiendish, lecturing mobs back. Who is the cleanest? Claiming we're equal, acting elitist. Listen up, there's lies in his sermon. Why's that? Your vicar is vermin. Hypocrites ain't hard to determine. Gotta rise up, be wise like a serpent. Beware the same thing as serpents who prey on the weak, peddling burden. Dissidents are destined for burning. Indoctrination is different to learning. You know the fables are coded. Demons, angels, the meaning's eroded. Reasons known by those who devoted. Revised, rewrote and promoted. Years past, scriptures unfolded. The names changed but never the motive. Translated, wildly misquoted. Sugar-coated, violent, corrosive notions. Charged with bitter emotions. Boarded ships and sailed across oceans. Holy books, gunpowder explosions. Hiding text like Trojans. Insidious lines were spoken. Indigenous minds were broken. Many tread the path of the chosen. And then stepped with a hoop full of cloven.
But many people want to curse him, but they still, he is with who he is. He's Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus Christ. God's perfect man and man's perfect God. You can't say that you haven't been warned on the day of judgment. Change your ways and turn to God. Because one day you will die.
Dangerous statements. Third degree burns and hospital patients. Far-reaching increased engagement. Fast-speaking procedure replacements. Unleashing. Verbal wordplay leave them seething. Gasping. Belly breathing. Fasting. No more eating. No more 8-bar repeating. You can't greet me with seasoned greetings. When we've got preachers teaching kids. Satan's teachings. Degrading heathens. Concrete beliefs. No reasons. False idols. In league with demons. Across unsecular regions. Imams, rabbis, priests, and deacons. From the studio to the stadium. Your basic levels, I'm raising them. I drop knowledge to expand the cranium. Free your mind, never enslaving them. No games, I don't play with them. I make a sample sweat gymnasium under the radar. Subterranean bars made hard with a full titanium. From the booth to the bleachers, install the truth for the mouth of the teachers. Elevate youth, Babylon's reaches. Renegade disfiguring features. Purge inconsiderate creatures. From the earth to the love increases. Urge all illiterate leaders. Learn my words, give birth through the speakers.
They will stand nothing. I'm telling you, you can go to a place called heaven where the streets are made of gold, the Bible says. Where there's joy and peace. You can go to heaven where you would drink from the throne of God, crystal clear water, you'll never thirst. But if you go to hell, you will thirst throughout eternity. In heaven, the gates are made out of pure pearl. The walls are made out of jasper. And you have precious stones in walls, but the gates of hell will be old, rusted iron gates. If you die today, will you cry out beyond the gates of hell throughout eternity?